Hello everyone, my name is Adyen. I am a worker ant living in a large nest beneath an oak tree. From the moment I was born, my life has been meticulously organized. Every morning when I open my eyes, it's the same routine: transporting food, repairing tunnels, caring for larvae, and patrolling the borders. I used to think my entire life would pass steadily just like this, until one day, an unexpected event changed everything I thought I knew. It happened one morning, just before sunrise. As usual, I set out early in search of food. At the edge of the forest, I discovered a gigantic blue fruit. It emitted a strong, sweet aroma and was a variety I had never seen before. Excited, I turned to rush back and report my finding, but just as I did, I heard a faint voice from behind the fruit saying, "Wait, please." Startled, I quickly turned around and saw a small ladybug lying on the ground with an injured wing. Her body trembled, and her eyes were full of pleading. I ran up to her immediately. In a weak voice, she said, "My name is Little Yuan. I come from the distant shadow forest. Something terrible has happened there. A monster called the shadow spider has invaded our homeland." My heart trembled. Although we ants normally do not interfere in the affairs of other species, I knew I couldn't ignore this. I decided to bring her back to the nest for treatment first and then report everything to the queen and the guard corps. Little Yuan was very light. I used a leaf and some spider silk to make a simple stretcher and carefully strapped her in. Step by step, I began dragging her home. The journey wasn't exactly long or short, but we passed through a patch of muddy ground recently soaked by rain. The thick mud trapped my 6 legs, but I clenched my jaws and used every ounce of strength to pull the stretcher forward. Little Yuan kept thanking me as she watched me panting. In that moment, I felt that even though I was small, I could still make a difference. We finally reached the nest entrance. I shouted for help, and several guard ants rushed out. Little Yuan was taken to the infirmary, and I immediately went to see the queen to report everything in detail. The queen pondered for a long time before finally nodding and saying, "Send a small team to investigate. Adyen, since you found her, you will lead the team." I had never led a team before and felt nervous, but I knew this responsibility was mine to bear. I gathered a few like-minded friends: Ironhorn, a skilled guard; Silk, a stealth expert; Boulder, the strongest carrier ant; and Needle, our youngest but most perceptive observer. Little Yuan insisted on joining us too. She said, "I can recognize the scent and web patterns of the shadow spider. I can help you avoid traps." And so, the 6 of us set out. Along the way, we endured wind and rain, sheltered under a fallen log during a storm, and took turns standing watch during mosquito-filled nights. While crossing a stream, Needle was swept away by the current. Boulder and I immediately jumped in to save him. We grew closer as a team and gradually understood the strength of unity. Eventually, we reached the shadow forest. A strong stench of decay filled the air, and the whole forest was eerily silent, as if even the wind had vanished. We moved cautiously. When we saw the first destroyed nest, we all bowed our heads in silence. It was a beetle nest, surrounded by webs and the dried corpses of insects. We pressed on and found a few survivors, some small crickets and cockroaches. They told us the shadow spider hunted at night and slept during the day deep in the forest, in the web throne. We decided to search for its web during the day and destroy its nest while it slept. Silk and I went ahead to scout. We saw a massive web woven between 3 towering trees, with an enormous black spider curled up at the center. Its back had glowing red spots. That was the legendary and most fearsome shadow spider queen. After reporting back, we began our preparations. Iron horn would act as a decoy. Needle and boulder set explosive fruit traps. Those fruits burst on strong impact and release irritant gas to confuse the spider's senses. Silk and I would climb to the top of the web and sever its main support strands. The operation began. Ironhorn bravely charged out and shouted. The shadow spider woke with a roar and gave chase. Needle lured it into the trap. With a loud boom, the fruits exploded, and the gas made the spider screech in pain. At that moment, Silk and I bit through the two main support lines. The entire web began to shake. The spider realized something was wrong and tried to escape, but Boulder hurled a heavy object that pinned it down. I lunged forward and sank my jaws into its eye, and my teammates joined in the attack. The battle was fierce. At last, the shadow spider fell with a low growl and moved no more. We stood in silence around its corpse. It had been a hard-won victory. We burned its nest, cleaned the forest, and worked with the surviving insects to build a defense system. We transformed the 3 trees into watchtowers, installed vibration alarms, and set up a communication network. I was elected as the representative of the Peace Alliance. I began traveling between nests and species, coordinating resources, sharing knowledge, and teaching others how to set traps and avoid danger. Little Yuan became a teacher at the Peace School, telling the younger generation stories of cooperation and hope. One day, Little Yuan said to me, "Adian, did you know? When the wind blew me here, I thought I was going to die. But then I met you. You helped me believe that there's still light in this world." I didn't say anything, just quietly placed a golden petal next to her wing. It was the symbol of our new forest that we were no longer just one ant nest. We had become an alliance, a family united by trust, courage, and wisdom. I often think back to that morning, to the blue fruit and the faint cry for help. If I had turned away, none of this would have happened. My life might have stayed peaceful, but something in my heart would have remained forever missing. Now, I am no longer just a food-carrying worker ant. I am an adventurer, a leader, and a witness to what it means to never give up. This is my story, told by a seemingly ordinary, but determined and extraordinary ant named Adian. Do you still like today's story? If you like, please remember to subscribe to this channel and click the like icon. You can receive notifications and hear the latest stories as soon as possible. Good night, my baby.